Welcome into another exciting episode of Real Biz. I'm your host, Bubba Startz, and with me today from Apps Flyer and the founder of First Man Marketing, Adam Davis. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here. I'm trying to get ready to match your energy. So let's do this.
Well, it's a little later in the evening in Israel than it is here in the middle of South Dakota. So if I need to tone myself back just a hair, I will, Adam.
Yeah, I should have taken a caffeine shot or something beforehand just to get ready.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time for me. As we said, you're on the other side of the world from where I'm located, but that is absolutely the beauty of the internet in this technological age of which we live in. And you are swimming in it fully. So before we get into all the things that you're doing now, and obviously the company that you founded, First Man Marketing, I'd love to get a little bit of your backstory and kind of dig into the human element a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. I came to Israel, excuse me, on a gap year after high school. I only intended to stay for the year and then come home. And then I just fell in love with the country, decided to join the army and stick around, went to university here. And then just through a bunch of random small content writing jobs, I got involved in the high tech scene. And I've been working at different types of tech companies for the last 12 years, mostly content, basically entirely marketing, content, branding, social media, localization, and a ton of AI stuff over the last year, like basically everybody. But while I was in between jobs last year, I really did a super deep dive into AI. I feel like I'm in the matrix and I've seen the other side. So building automations and workflows and agents, and yeah, it's really exciting.
No doubt. And I say it a lot on the show here that without AI, I probably have no platform because we use it so much in our editing. And now it's helping to, as I'm learning how to use it better, especially establishing programs. And I use a router chat LLM called Abacus, which allows me to kind of use all of them. I don't use just one piece of it, right? I'm using Gemini and Chat and Claude and kind of taking pieces. And the router is great because it kind of knows what each one maybe does a little bit better than the other one. And I can select which one I want to run through as well. But it's now helping me to devise new show ideas and descriptions for all of these things and just really building out the framework that otherwise I would have no idea how to do. Right. And I haven't offloaded the creative process to it, but it's making me so much more efficient to be able to run this. So I'm very grateful for where the technology has come. We can talk about the, maybe the pitfalls of that, right? I still use my brain quite a bit, but I use my brain enough to know that, man, if I don't have the answers, I go to chat first. And then if it doesn't know, or I'm not appreciative of the answer it gives me, then I can call a mentor and try to get a human being on the phone. But it's got access to a lot more information than I do, or really any other human being.
Yeah, I've over the last year, I've kind of been okay with letting AI do a lot of the thinking for me. It's actually one of my tips that I give people in workshops and conversations that I have about AI is, I don't want to put any fear in anyone's mind, but AI knows a lot more than each of us do individually. And so when you're asking AI to do things for you, you're kind of taking out that element. You need to ask AI what you need to be asking, right? Especially for things where you're trying to build your own business or start a new revenue stream or things like that, like it knows more. So if you ask it what you should be building or what you should be creating or who you should be talking to or the things you need to learn, it's going to be a lot more effective than saying, hey, I want to do this, let's do it. And yeah, like you were saying also, I generally on a given day have 15 different AI tabs for each a different thing, Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT and all these other random tools that I use. It's amazing.
It really is. And maybe we're building, the Antichrist or whatever. Maybe we're feeding the beast a little bit here. I know that it's definitely helping me to get where I want to go. And it's helping me to do it so much faster than I ever could have done on my own. It's made me smarter. It's made me a more intelligent human being because I have access to this. I'm not just go do it but I'm absorbing this information is coming at me. Every day that I use it, I get a little bit better, not just at using the tool, but as I want it to go, as I'm talking to it, I get better at that. I didn't realize that you can tell it, what it is. Hey, you are a content expert. I need 5 posts for social media right now over this topic. Here's the images, and craft it from that, and then let it do its thing. It's just unbelievable what it's capable of. And yeah, I'm not using it to make candy cane pictures.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's so much more. I mean, firstmanmarketing.com is the AI consulting agency that I founded in the last year. And the website I built in 5 hours, I think, using AI tools, which over a year ago, I wouldn't have even thought that that was possible, or would have had to pay tons of money for something that was like, drag and drop a website builder. And just knowing that first of all, the confidence to say, yeah, I'm going to do this myself. I'm not a developer, I'm a marketing guy, but the confidence to be able to tackle that myself and to actually accomplish it in such a short time, that just seems impossible 18 months ago,
Right. It's happened so fast, right?
Yeah.
Just so fast. Things that you couldn't do a year and a half ago that seemed absolutely out of this world are right at our fingertips. And it's getting better every day. It's accelerating. It's becoming faster. With what, especially I use Higgs field for a lot of my image generation, which is kind of running through Nano Banana and a lot of these other different ones. But it's been unreal with the speed that it can generate, the quality of the images that it's generating. And I use another AI to tell me, hey, like, what's the prompt that I want to put into this? Like, me, your personal AI can get to know you a little bit, and what we do. And I've developed the programs and kind of the workflows to take us through there, to where now I'm kind of building this out, and eventually I'll get smart enough to be able to plug it all into where I just put in the one thing and it does all of it, and there's less clicks and everything to do it. But I mean, people could be doing this with extremely higher level stuff than what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think the advantage that I have was that I was looking for a job last year. And because of this whole AI revolution, I wanted to build AI stuff to prove myself as being someone that they should actually look at for these AI agencies or for AI positions. So I had the advantage of being able to spend 8-9 hours a day on this, which, a lot of people don't have the time to do that, which is fine. They have a day job or they have other responsibilities. And so that's what I keep telling people, is take advantage of the ability to learn from what I use and what I don't use. What I think is, like, you don't have to have FOMO of every new tool that's coming out and jump on the latest trends. Like, learn from what I understood and, broke my teeth over trying to figure out the best way to, my first automation that I built took me 3 weeks. Now I'm doing it in 2 days. So, take that kind of, if you have any time, even if you have half an hour a day or something to really continue learning and pushing towards it, you'll just find that it just opens so much more up for you. It just takes a lot of time to figure it out. And don't get overwhelmed. Don't try to tackle every single new tool that comes out, because you're just going to get lost.
Yeah, well, and most of the tools will catch up to one another eventually as well. So if you have one that you've learned, you don't have to jump on each and everything. That one tool where it may be behind now may eventually catch up and be able to do that, or ask the tool that you have how to effectively learn the next one. And it's just, it's wild. It's completely wild to me. And I've had a few people that just enlighten me, telling it that, hey, you are an expert in this field. So you're not just randomly spitballing things. You're like, no, you are a expert in this field. Tell me what you would do in that. And then it's able to really craft those things out. That was such a game changer for me, because when I was first using it, it wasn't giving me what I wanted. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to use it. It's like swinging a hammer, right? The first time you swing it at the nail, you may thump your thumb a few times before you really get the hang of it. But eventually you learn that there's such a thing as a nail gun. Right. And then you start getting really efficient. And I feel like that's where we're really moving. And, take advantage, like you said, of your really, rough year, right? You had a rough year looking for work, don't have it. But instead of kind of, hanging your head and being woe is me about it, you said, this is revolutionizing. This is the future. I need to learn this. And then dedicating yourself to learning it. And I think that alone is something that people can take a lot of inspiration from, whether you're doing it in AI or, for me, I'm in the music world, right? Just like honing into what you want to do, whether that's I want to be I want to produce my own music now. I'm a singer or a songwriter, but I am always having to pay people to do this. Okay, well then really invest into that. Invest the time into it, and you're going to get the dividends down the road.
Yeah, 100%. I think it also lends itself to the fact that my personality is that I'm excited by learning new things. I have 35 different hobbies that I like doing at all times. So I'm always trying to jump onto the next thing. But I think kind of this little, this weird feeling, maybe a little obnoxious feeling of like, I know more than other people do is very exciting because everyone in the world is talking about AI. And I'm just like, I learned that already 8 months ago. It is kind of cool. And it's nice to be able to help and teach people. Like that's part of what I like also of educating people, giving workshops, trying to slow down that fear or that lack of confidence with AI where people are saying, I don't know, I'm worried about opening myself up to it or security risks or how do I learn everything? And I'm just saying, no, there's stuff that you need to understand. What's your use case? What are you trying to accomplish? Let's take one task you do every week and that annoys the shit out of you and let's just make it easier, automated. And you start slow and you go from there. And that's what I'm trying to teach people is this mindset shift. Don't be afraid. It's not taking your job. You don't have to prepare for the apocalypse, but let's kind of start to automate and shift your mind and take on some new tools and do things you didn't even think were possible beforehand, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it can do way more than caricatures, people. Let me tell you.
Yeah, right. There is a time and a place for that. I make coloring pages for my son all the time, but no, some of the other stuff that I'm doing is like I just had a call with a potential client this week who actually someone who finds other clients because she also has a consulting firm that needs AI help. And she said this one news website, like this media company is basically manually going through news every single day to find stuff for their segment. It takes them 8 hours a day to do this. And I was like, well, I literally built an automation that will do this for you in a minute and a half. And so like just that kind of change and like think about how much time that'll free them up for other things.
It just saved you 60 hours a week.
Right. Yeah. I think they're getting paid like over $100K just to do this kind of news aggregation. And it's just like, yeah, I'll build you an automation. And then you could either kick your feet up or you can find something else to do with your time, new work and new projects, So yeah,
unbelievable. Crazy. Yeah, unbelievable. I'm going to have you sit down and give me an assessment on my business and where you could automate some stuff into Mari. Because even the time that I spend, copying email addresses and adding them into an email that just says, hey, here's the link for the call. Now I have everything pretty much templated and it's all just copy paste. If I want to type in a personal message, I can. It's about as simple as it can be. But still, when you multiply that times the 30 or 40 calls that I'm getting on a week, I could maybe get a whole hour of my life back that week, right? And that could be an automated process in there too. Now I use Go High Level as our CRM, so that also automates a lot of our processes in there and a lot of different things. But I'm just learning all these things myself, right? I'm in the year that you were a year ago right now, where I'm like, oh my, I've been doing this the stupid way for a long time and costing myself time. But even in the editing side, using podcast AI, which has just been, I would not be here probably today. I would still be editing like my 4th episode. Right. And instead I have over 400 episodes out, all of the short form content that's generated over 360,000 views between May and December last year. And we only put out maybe a quarter of what we had because we were, again, running out of time. Right. It would just, there's only so many hours in a day. And if you're focused on the production of the content, meaning I'm here with you on camera, it doesn't leave a lot of time for the post-production stuff to go on. Right. Now I'm very blessed to have StreamYard where I don't have any editing. I just produce everything on the fly, which is what I'd rather do anyway. Right. I'm a live performer, right? Even in the music side, I wasn't a studio guy. I was on the stage producing this thing live, hitting the lights, controlling the sound from the stage, running my own pedal board, directing the band. Like I'm very used to doing 17 things at once, having the ability to do so here and to have conversations with people that are doing the same. Right. And this is why I love what I do is getting to talk to Adam across the world, who's like, yeah, man, we could get 34 things at a time going if we automate a few of these. And I'm like, yeah, you're speaking my language, buddy.
Yeah, I think that's really the key. And that's kind of what I was mentioning before, but you really touched on it, is that AI should not be something that is scary or worrisome or whatever. It should help you free up the time to do what you really want to do. I'm a content guy. I want to create awesome content that resonates with people. I'm sure you feel the same way. And I don't want to spend my time in reporting and admin and ideation and brainstorm. I want to do and create and produce stuff for people. So freeing up and automating all that other stuff is what gives me the time to do what I really enjoy doing. So there's nothing to worry about in that sense. Like I don't feel that like, oh, I'm a content marketing manager and soon that's going to be obsolete. No, I'm managing the content. Maybe I'm not a writer in the specific sense that I used to be, but I'm creating stuff because I have all this time that I built systems to enable that, which is, it feels like I'm empowering myself to do what I really want to do, which is very exciting.
Yeah. And now with your company, you're able to empower others, right? You're able to use everything that you've learned and to empower other people to make their business more efficient, to give them some of their time back because maybe they want to spend it with their children, right? Maybe they don't want to spend every waking minute trying to build their business and to keep up, because whether you want to use AI or not, your competitors and your they are the big people are using it. The big massive corporations are using it. Small business owners are starting to catch on. If you're not using it at this point, you're falling farther and farther behind. And using someone like yourself with First Man Marketing to catch up is critical right now, while you maybe buy yourself some of the time, or having you kind of teaching people. I think that's what's cool about you, is not only are you in the space of, I'll do it for you, but also, hey, you should probably be learning how to do this for yourself as well.
Yeah, that was actually a really interesting learning experience that I had with building out like what my offerings were going to be. Because initially I was like, great, I built these automations, people need them, I'll just build them from there. I'll just be that builder that people could hire. And then I realized that, through some of the client calls that I had, a lot of people were like, no, we're using AI already, it's okay. But then as I'm talking to them, I'm seeing the gears turning and they're like, actually, wait, what if we built this? And then so I realized that the education aspect of it is what leads people to want to build. So it's not like offering one and offering two. It's more like 1A and 1B. It's like, let me do a workshop for you, maybe on a 1 hour Zoom session or a half day, full day, where we really dive into what your team needs. And then you'll understand what you need. And then I could build it for you. So, and I'm fine either way. I'm fine with just teaching people about it. I think it's really valuable and important. We're doing a course at AppsFlyer right now about like for AI builders and agents and things like that. And I'm kind of just like, well, I know a lot of this already. And I'm just helping people on the side, like answer their questions when the teacher's unavailable. So I really enjoy that. And so that's great that I can incorporate that as well.
Did you ever have any experience kind of teaching before this? Was it a passion for you to teach people like this kind of before getting into this side of it?
It was something I thought about when I was a kid, about being a teacher. I also studied world history in university, which is so random, but it's just, it's something that
my wife, she dropped the class and was like, can I take like a civics class instead? Oh, that's how I'm going to get that credit.
Yeah. Like I just love learning, and I kind of thought about the idea of being a professor or being a teacher, and obviously that didn't really work because I went into marketing, but I've been like a coach and like football for high school football and things like that. And I kind of like that, now that I'm a parent to little kids, just kind of like guiding and leading and teaching and showing them the ropes and things like that. And that's probably where it comes from. And I also think that it helps me learn, right? Like proving that I know things, or proving how I know it by explaining it is really great. And I'm also really open to feedback. And I do these workshops. I ran a whole bunch of workshops for free just to get people, get my name out there, and also to get feedback from people. What am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What would you want to hear more of? And there's just something about that I don't know, I really enjoy.
Well, and I asked because my wife is a special education teacher, but she didn't start off that way. She had already had a business degree and was working. She worked at some banks, and then she was working. I mean, honestly, got into just like a labor force, right? Has a 4-year degree, but she's doing something she could have done right out of high school. And through happenstance and injury and workman's comp, and then just not wanting to really do that anymore, she ended up taking a summer off and then returning to the workforce as a paraprofessional. And through that, she was offered an opportunity to apply for what they call a teacher apprentice program, where you remain employed at the school, but you get to, take college courses to advance into a teacher degree. So elevating people that are already working in the schools and working with these kids to actually being teachers to fill the teacher shortage. So great program. She was accepted last year. So she did a year working as a para. And then this year, she's still going to school and finishing her degree, but she was actually offered, because there was a need at the school for special educators, a position on an advanced teacher permit. So she actually began her teaching career a full year ahead of schedule, with the nice little pay bump, right? From an hourly to salary paid all year long. And she fell in love with it, right? Like, I just saw a different version of my wife come out. So that's where kind of like on a human and a very personal level for me, I'd never seen that side of her until she became and started working in the school and teaching. So yeah, interested on how people fall. Cause like, I think there's two different sides, right? There's people that kind of know they're a teacher and have a need or a desire for that early on in life. Or you have someone who kind of almost falls backwards into it, that then realizes that my wife just likes helping people, right? She's a special education teacher. It's not necessarily a passion for teaching, it's for helping others.
Right. Yeah, that's important. I think it's great. I mean, it's very commendable, and it's awesome that you kind of, it all transpired that way. I think that's really great. I think there's something that's in all of us, like you love connecting with people and you like creating content. That's why you're doing this and pumping out tons of content that you're doing. There's something really interesting about engaging with people and talking about topics that you're interested in. Also, it's a lot of fun.
My cat's very interested in our conversation, Adam, if you can't tell.
Maybe
cool. She just likes being pet. I don't know. It could be one or the other, but anytime she hears dad talking, she's got to come and make an appearance. Absolutely. Everything that we've touched on here is so poignant for the times that we're living in, right? It's really about collaboration in this world. Everything's moving so fast, and sure, we could all get there on our own, but I feel like we're leaving that dog eat dog world that we've all kind of grown up in. Adam, I may be a little bit older than you, but my entire life has been driven by the need for more of this and more money and a bigger house. And I feel like the world as a whole now is pulling back and saying, but do we really? Right? Do we really need all of that? Couldn't we like do more with less, and to be good to one another in the process and not have to step on the necks of everyone around us to get where we need to go? And I feel like, especially with First Man Marketing, that you kind of embody all of that, right? Like, hey, I took a year to learn how to do this, but instead of gatekeeping you and saying that, oh, well, you can pay $10,000 to me and I will do this, you're really offering people the opportunity to not just learn, but to work with you, to work beside you, to elevate their own knowledge base and to grow. And I think that's how we get to like the next evolution of human being, honestly, is through that. And I don't know if it's a European thing, because a lot of these companies that I started talking out to as the podcast has grown internationally now through, things like Podstar, a shout out to Gall and just being on LinkedIn, that all the Europeans that I talk to and the companies that come out of there are very much about, like, how can we help one another to make everything better for the end user, which I feel like is not something that, and you kind of have a foot in both, right? Being from the West and immigrating, to the Middle East, I guess, the Mediterranean, and seeing that. Do you see a big difference in the way that people operate as businesses in Israel as compared to what you grew up in Canada?
Yeah, I'd say for sure in a few different ways. Like Israel has a massive high-tech scene, and a lot of the companies that started here were just ideas that someone had once upon a time, and they just turned it into a company, whether it's, AppsFlyer, which is a company that helps other companies that have apps, or gaming companies that have apps, like understand where their data is coming from and how to attribute clicks and downloads and things like that. So basically, once upon a time, someone had an idea about, hey, all these companies are running apps and the iPhone is getting huge back 20 years ago. How do we help people figure this out? How do we make sure that they're really getting the most out of their company? And I think one of the biggest things that's stood out to me about what you're saying is, as I've been onboarding in this new position at AppsFlyer, the number one message they keep talking about is how much they care about their customers and how much they care about their people. And I could see it day to day. Every single person in the company is not only a professional, but they're just a great person, because the company went through, it was a very long hiring process. It took me like a couple of months, and because they really want to get people that actually care. And it's kind of unique in a lot of, like what you were saying about how the world didn't really work like that. But, AppsFlyer has been around for 12 years and they're growing and they're doing great because they have this foundation of helping people. And I think that ties into where the world is now with AI, that there's so much digital and fear of Skynet and Terminator and where we're headed and taking jobs and all this kind of stuff. And I think there's this kind of push back to analog. I also think that as like millennials looking back on the childhood we have and then fearing for our kids about having Snapchat and Instagram and TikTok and being connected to the phones all the time and wanting to go back to riding our bikes to our friends' houses and going out until it was dark. And I feel like there's that shift that's happening of like, despite the tech and the AI and the way we're going, let's kind of bring it back to people and personal relationships and interactions, and using AI to better that, or maybe not using AI and kind of going back to a more analog world. So I think people are craving that kind of human element a little bit. Maybe it started from the fact that AI felt like it was too computerish, and now we want to have humans back in it, for content, for sure. That's a big thing. I see it going that way. I hope I'm not just being optimistic and, hoping for the best, but that's kind of what I've been seeing a lot of the conversation be like. Let's bring humans back into it. Let's help one another. Let's create communities, not just send everything to AI and rely on that,
Exactly. Well, and what's great about what AI has done for me is that it's given me my time back to live in the analog world, right? Instead of having to be stuck to a computer, 14, 15 hours a day. And right now I'm investing that amount of time into it, but it's so that when summertime hits, everything's already done. Everything's done. So I can actually just enjoy the summer, get out and catch some rays and go to the pool with my kids and not be thinking about, oh my God, because I'm doing this right now and enjoying being a father, that something else is to a detriment. Right. And with AI, I'm so far ahead of the game right now that I could take 6 months off. Right. And everything's already done. And that's really what I'm trying to set myself up for is, okay, let's work really hard 9 months a year so that we can kind of put the automations in and all the content's already done. And everything that I had to do is done. Everything can run as automations. I can come in, spend an hour or two in the morning, making sure and babysitting it all to make sure that it's operating and functioning properly, do the things that I have to show up for, but then be able to go and enjoy the vacations with my children and the time with my wife when she's off of, school. And it's allowing me to build my own flow of my life, not just a work flow, but a life flow.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think that's what it should be for, right? We shouldn't be using these tools just to work all the time. It should be, like I said before, freeing up time, like you were saying. Let's automate things so that we can have our life back. I think that's the best way to think about it. We're not here to work. It's about work-life balance, right? So we want to find that balance, see our kids. I have this line that I keep saying to any jobs that I've had or any managers that want to force people back into the office every day or to stay there for 10 hours a day. And I said, unless I'm an astronaut, no job is going to keep me from seeing my kids, and I will not apologize for that. So I'm fine with, working on AI stuff while we're watching Netflix at night. But as long as I can see my kids and put them to sleep and spend time with them, that's fine with me,
Big part of why I left the factory and was willing to spend 2 years taking a massive pay cut to build something better. Being told on Thursday that, hey, we're working mandatory Saturday. I don't care if your kid's got his ball game. And me going, no, you can discipline me however you feel fit, but no. How's that sound? And then being like, well, what do you mean you don't want the extra money? I was like, man, money doesn't make my world go around. I don't know who you think you're talking to. I'm here mostly because, I need I'm already working overtime, right? We were already working 45, 50 hours a week. And it's like, well, don't you want the extra overtime so it can get taxed more and I essentially make the same amount of money? No, I'm good, man. I know how math works. I know what taxes are. Right. Like you're not convincing me when I can look at the numbers and just be like, no, it's not worth my time. Right. The extra $17 on my paycheck is not worth missing my kids' games. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm sorry that I'm not sorry, and I'm willing to tell you that, and now it's hurting your feelings, right?
Right,
But you can find somebody else that loves money more than that, because I just don't. But I realized that without it, I was never going to be able to live the life that I wanted to give to my kids as well. So also realizing that it's like, okay, you can make a certain amount doing this and abiding by their rules, but you're never going to make over that. Right. Like I was pretty much at my ceiling where I was at. And it's like, well, you could just work more. I don't want to work more. I'm trying to work less and make more. And because I made some probably poor decisions early on in my life and didn't get a degree, that probably wasn't worth anything anyway, and didn't do some of those things, then I had to be willing to, like you, go to school on my own time, right? On my own time, and to say, okay, I got to figure this out. Right. And for me, it was podcasting and digging into it, realizing we were at a pivotal moment where human connection was fading because we're using AI and all of these things to do it, that just having a conversation was becoming an actually very worthwhile commodity to a lot of people. Right.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, to have someone to talk to that knows how to have a conversation and has some emotional intelligence that they can bring to the table became something that was of value again. And here I am. Right. Hoping to capitalize on the moment, build something that maybe I can cash out in 10 years time and go on to the next thing and learn what I want to do for the rest of my life. But man, Adam, I absolutely appreciated this conversation. Go ahead and plug. I know we've mentioned AppsFlyer. We've mentioned the company several times, but for our audio only listeners, make sure they hear everything from your mouth. And appreciate you spending some time with me today.
This was great. Yeah, thank you. Just check out firstmanmarketing.com. If you're looking to learn more about AI, start automating things, build some cool assistants or agents or automations, reach out to me. I'll be happy to talk to you, understand what you need and what you want to learn, and we could just talk about AI. That's mostly what I'm working on. And I love it. It's great. So thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out initially. It was a lot of fun meeting you and being on the show. And listen, best of luck to you. You're killing it. So keep it up.
Thank you. As someone who does content for a living and yourself and on the other side of it a lot in the marketing phase, I feel like I'm definitely on the right track with everything that we've been doing. So I hope you can stick around because I want to talk a little more AI off camera. I don't want to take too much time away from the kids yet, but would love to share a few more minutes with you. So Adam Davis, thank you for taking some time for me today. And thank you for being part of the scene.
Appreciate it. This was great. Thanks.
Imagine capturing the raw essence of nature, with its infinite color and beauty. Now, envision turning that into something truly transformative. Pure and easy tea cultivates the goodness of nature's bounty into fuel for your body. We are what we drink. Pure and easy tea. The pure nourishment your body craves.